Hello, everyone. Gerson here. So, as we talked in the group, I'm going to try to train you um, in transcription with Infinity X, which is the platform for this project. Well, since our default language has been English so far, I'm going to explain everything in English. And if you have any doubts, please reach out. But honestly, even though the instructions may seem a little lengthy. Overall, I feel like this is not such a complicated platform to work with. In general, I feel like most of the rules that we have to follow when it comes to the actual text in the transcription, they are a bit more, how can I say, um, tricky to work with because you really need to pay attention to what you're writing, and you also need to correct the text that has been inserted there because, as you guys can see, when you start a project, all of the audio is going to be automatically transcribed. And basically, you have this huge text with, in general, is correct, but there's no like punctuation. The abbreviations may be off sometimes, and they are large chunks of audio, as you guys can see here in the list, right? And one of the rules that we must follow to do the transcription um, is not to let any of these segments to be over 30 seconds. So there's something to pay attention to. And also, we have the tags included, right? So these tags have several functions that we need to see here in the instructions in German. Although I haven't really used most of them, I have used basically SN, which is basically when there is like any kind of noise or any kind of, how can I say, um, any kind of expression that the person does that is not actually language. For example, in the audio that I did for the training, um, there were some sounds that were emitted and that fall into this category like lachen, husten, seufzen. So basically, it's not actual language, but you can see that it's noise made by a human being. So that's the only tag that I used. And if we use any of the tags, then we must insert them within a segment that already has text, right? So, for example, I could include this here, but I wouldn't be able to like split and have a segment with only the tag. So, there's something to pay attention to. Since it is a huge chunk of text, what I recommend is basically copying and putting it and pasting it into anything that you can paste stuff. So, for example, you can either use Google Translate just so you can have like just so you can guide yourself when it comes to like, okay, like this section is probably going to be spoken over 30 seconds, so I need to split. Or you could use Google Documents as well. You know, anything's fine. Something that the instructions tell you to do is basically going over the settings. So you can go here, settings, and you are going to see all of these options on the left. So click languages. Since German is definitely one of the languages that I use the most, they are included here in preferred languages. But spell check hadn't been activated up until I saw the instructions. So that's why the instructions tell you to use spell check. So it helps you when you are like writing, you know. So basic spell check or enhanced spell check, and then I activated it for German, as you guys can see here. So this is something to point out, right? So as you guys have, been noticing so far, this is definitely one of the things that we need to pay attention to when it comes to transcription above all else is how to write stuff, right? So here we have examples for acronyms, like how we should write them when they come up in the text. Something big is numbers, so all numbers, they must be written full. So for example, eins, zwei, drei, you must write them, with the actual letters from the alphabet. And also symbols such as hashtag must be fully reading as well. And capital letters, of course, they are a major thing in the German language. So you got to include that too. And here you have like several examples that fall into the categories for you to include. Something that I struggled a bit was with punctuation, but there are only 3 punctuations that are allowed in the transcription. Those are commas, periods, and question marks, right? So these are the 3 that are allowed, right? In the actual transcription. Yeah, so here you have the general rules, but something that the instructions point out as well is that you shouldn't waste too much time on things that are not like that don't sound right. If you look at the instructions in English, then here it says, right, please report to your project manager, never waste too much time, work on one low quality task. So don't do that, right? So if the audio is bad, then you definitely shouldn't worry too much about that. So let's go to the actual editing, which is something that you probably have been waiting for so far. Here, something that I must point out is that you need to click on the actual segment for you to start working in it. So for example, here we have number 1. I'm going to click play.
Mit Bretoman.
And then if it has this color, then it means that the whole segment can be edited and can be worked on, right? So if it's blue, then you cannot change here because nothing's going to change. You need to work here, right? So of course, as you guys can see, that this is a whole minute. And if you want to change already the length, then you can do it right here. So for example, end time, here on top, 60, I'm going to change that to 30. Even though it has this like whole text in it. And as you guys can see, you are going to have this whole like white space in between the first and second segment. And what are you going to do here? You are going to select, because you know that over 30 seconds is not allowed, you're going to select all this section here, right? So first you need to click drag to generate. Okay, so it stopped here because it doesn't really, go forth if you're not seeing where you're going. But as you guys can see here, we already have a second segment. So to keep editing it, click play and just keep dragging it to the length that you need. And don't forget to save, right? So saving is important. Click save here. But if you need to, close the page for some reason, always click temp save here at the bottom, right? Just so you don't lose what you did. And here comes the part where I showed you like that we have here, because some of these text is going to go into that second segment. So you need to have it like readily available just so you don't get lost in the mix, right? So if you need to check the correct spelling of a word, especially because we're dealing with magical German, you can use Duden. That is like a very obvious choice. Or you can go to this dictionary, which I really like. I don't know how to pronounce that. Dict. I just say dict. I'm not sure if that's the right pronunciation, but it works really well as well, right? So you have like many different options here. And let's get straight to the point. So first, when you click to edit something, then you need to listen and see if the words are correct, because many of them aren't going to be incorrect. So you need to pay attention to the pronunciation of the person to see if, for example, hesitant is really hesitant, or if it's something else. And you also should follow the correct punctuation for for standard German for these things. And for example, right away, I need to change this 600 for the actual letters. So like this. And let me see here. You also need to make sure that that everything is correct. Let me see if I'm forgetting anything. You also need to check for the speaker, right? So something important that I really needed to alter the previous time when I did the test was the speaker. So try to listen to everything once and identify if there is more than a speaker. In the test, there were only 2 speakers, so I had to change here. So for example, one segment for speaker 1 and another segment for speaker 2. But if there are other people involved, they must be identified with the speaker, right? So it's important for you to check that as well. When you finish everything, when you finish editing, make sure to click temp save, regardless if you're going to close or not. So save every section and also temp save. And then you are going to check. So for example, I can click temp save here. And if I click check, for example, then it's going to say everything that is wrong, right? So for example, this segment has numbers. The end of the segment must be any of this here. The segment is longer than 30 seconds. So you need to check all of that before you commit what you did. All right. So I feel like I have said it all. Like, for example, if you look in the instructions, they say that you can click here to go up or down, but I haven't really used those. I basically just edited with this first 2 buttons. Sometimes I had to remove one of the segments, and then you can just click this last item here, which is a trash bin. And I feel like that's it. If you need to speed up the playback rate for any reason or slow down, you can go here. If you need to split a section, then basically, for example, if I need to split section 1 again, then you can click where you want to, and here you can see it very slightly, cutting 5 points. So basically, that is like the timestamp, and then when you select, you click split, so you can create like another section, right? If you need. But apart from that, I feel like it's going to work out pretty well. If you have any other questions, please let me know. But as far as I'm concerned, that's it. Okay. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you have a great time um, transcribing and correcting this. Okay. Thank you very much.